And part of a delicious Tuesday morning cooking up Cajun shrimp linguine with the author of A Well-Seasoned Kitchen. That's coming up. We have Meals in Minutes in a moment. We're starting to more and more, as often as we can, share with you some simple recipes to make for dinner tonight that don't take too long. Time, of course, very difficult these days. But here's a suggestion that doesn't take too long to cook and is delicious. It's from our good friend, Lee Clayton Roper. She's back with us. Of course, she's also from A Well-Seasoned Kitchen. That's the great cookbook that I love so much. Thanks for writing that. Let me share in that. Sure. You're live with us this morning. We're making something that sounds somewhat exotic and difficult, Cajun shrimp linguine, but you say you can do it pretty simply.
It's very simple and very fast. You can do the whole thing in under 15 minutes.
Well, we're going to even condense it more for TV.
That's right. That's right. We'll do it even less. I'm going to start with the sauce here. When you're at home, what you would be doing is while you're making the sauce, you would be boiling the water and cooking the linguine.
The linguine cooks as normal.
Exactly.
Right.
And while it's cooking, you make the sauce, and by the time the linguine's done, which takes about 10 to 12 minutes, the sauce is done.
Bingo.
So I've got some garlic cooking in here now, and I'm going to put in some chopped green onion.
Okay.
And I'm using actually Creole seasoning today.
Tell me about that.
Okay. This is an interesting conversation that could go on for a long time, the difference between Creole versus Cajun.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, in a nutshell, the difference in the cuisines is that Cajun is more rural from the southwestern part of Louisiana. Creole is more city food, a little bit more refined, came from New Orleans itself.
And we're making, this is Creole seasoning.
I'm using Creole seasoning because the interesting thing is the cuisines aren't exactly alike, but when you buy the prepared seasoning mixes, Cajun and Creole have virtually the same ingredients in them.
It's funny, when you put that in there, you give that about a 5 count, and it fills the room.
You can smell it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is strong.
Both a Creole and a Cajun seasoning have really strong flavor.
Yeah.
It's cayenne pepper and garlic and onion and either like thyme or basil, depending on the mix. A little salt.
Very good.
So
now, here's another trick as far as making this sauce, you're saying.
It is. Now, what I've done in here is just cook the onion and the seasoning and the garlic just for about a minute, just to get them hot. Now I'm putting in a can of evaporated fat-free milk.
Okay.
And this is an interesting trick because this is a way that you can get a creamy sauce with your pasta without having to have a lot of calories.
And I saw you also turn down the heat a little bit. Use that high heat to get the garlic brown.
Actually, I hope I turn that up.
So you want more now? Yeah.
I want more now. I think that's higher.
Okay.
Because what I'm going to do now is boil the milk, bring it to a boil, and then simmer it for 5 minutes. What that does is kind of cooks it down just like you would with cream and a cream sauce. Make it a little thicker.
Sure.
And then you boil it, kind of stirring it as it needs it for about 5 minutes. And then once it's kind of boiled down, looks kind of nice, you mix in a little bit of Tabasco, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and some of the Parmesan cheese, about a quarter of a cup, and then you cook that for about another 3 minutes. The Parmesan cheese is another bit of a thickening agent when you put it into the sauce, so that's kind of another little trick that you can do. And mix that in, and then once the sauce is done, it takes about another 3 minutes for that to cook down. You can kind of see it starting to thicken. Then you mix in your cooked shrimp and stir it around until the shrimp gets hot, and then when your linguine's done, you mix that in as well.
So the cooked shrimp, you're cooking the shrimp in simply just in a pan?
I actually buy it cooked.
Oh, I
buy it cooked and shelled.
And warm it.
If you have uncooked shrimp, you don't have to cook it separately. You can throw it in the sauce and cook it in here if you want to. I would just put it in for the 3 minutes right after I put the Parmesan cheese in. Instead of waiting 3 minutes to put in the shrimp, I put the shrimp in right away.
Starting to see the boiling now.
Here we go. Yeah. And then, then you just have to get it back down to a simmer, and then just let it kind of cook away. Tabasco
and Worcestershire can be very strong. What are your gauges on how much of that you want to use?
It's about a quarter of a teaspoon of each one. This is pretty spicy. It depends on what Creole or Cajun seasoning you use, but it's a fairly spicy dish, so I kind of go light on the Tabasco initially and then sort of taste it and see how it's going and whether you need anything else.
So you have your sauce with the shrimp in it, you have your linguine all done, and you end up with a beautiful presentation.
Right, you toss the linguine in with the sauce once the shrimp is done and warm, toss it all together, put it on a plate, sprinkle it with some more Parmesan cheese, and I have garnished it here with a little bit of green onion.
Even when I cook things well, I never plate things that well. I love the way you even plate it beautifully, Lee. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. The recipe's on our website. Sometimes we go fast on TV, so if you missed anything, go to our website at kwgn.com and then go to the As Seen On section. Lee, it's always a treat to have you in. Thanks so much.
Thank you.